Latest polling suggests there's a bloodbath coming for the Labor Party in next month's state election. Voters apparently have not responded to Premier Kristina Kenneally's recent formal apology for her party's past indulgences or her commitment to legislate to constrain living costs. On Sunday at Penrith, Barry O'Farrell will launch the Coalition's election campaign. There is a lot more politics to play out yet. But at the moment, such is the consistency of the angry voting intention measured by the polling companies that there's now talk of Labor being reduced to just a dozen or so seats in the bear pit. Such a rout would not have been seen since the Queensland Labor Party was reduced to a cricket team, just 11 MPs, in 1974. Let's look speculatively at what a New South Wales bloodbath would look like.
Well, the swing in this poll suggests 18% swing to the Coalition. And that's if uniform, and swings are never uniform, but if that was uniform, that would wipe out about 35 or so Labor seats and leave them with basically a football team in the Parliament.
John Sturton's been polling and analysing voting intention for the Herald's Nielsen poll for almost 2 decades. He's never seen anything like this before, with Labor's primary vote crashing to a record low of 22%, the Coalition primary zooming up to 53%. That's 66% Coalition to 34% Labor, two-party preferred.
This is the biggest two-party preferred lead we have seen in any Nielsen poll, state or federal, in 39 years of polling in Australia. It can only head really in one direction from here, and I think we'll see a few things happen over the campaign. We'll see Labor run the line, and probably reasonably effectively, that this is too big a swing or too big a win to give them, and I think that will work with some Labor voters. Number 2, we'll see independents rise and become prominent in a number of seats, and that will provide a middle way for some voters rather than going all the way to the Coalition. And so I do expect it will narrow somewhat. But even if it narrows, and this is the extraordinary thing, even if it narrows 10 percentage points between now and election day, that will still give the Coalition the same two-party preferred vote that Nick Greiner and the Coalition got in 1988, which was the biggest loss for the Labor Party, I think, in the 20th century, or certainly in the latter part of the century. So even if it narrows by 10 points between now and election day, we're only moving from the mega slide that our polling this week suggests into a landslide.
This is what Greater Sydney's political map currently looks like. You'll see there the Liberals dominating the North Shore and the eastern suburbs. That's traditional Liberal heartland. With the exception of Penrith and Ryde, which the Libs picked up in recent by-elections, Labor's got the rest. Inner Sydney all the way to the northwest, the west, the south and the southwest. With the 18% swing, as measured by Nielsen polling this week, this would be the map of Greater Sydney if such a vote was replicated on election day, a Labor bloodbath. Labor would be reduced to about 13 seats in the bear pit. At the outer edge of such a swing would be the southern Sydney seat of Cogra. It has been held continuously by the Labor Party since 1953. From 1999 by Cherie Burton, who's called on party elder Bob Hawke to help stave off defeat. Cogra is one of those safe, multicultural Labor seats which have underpinned the party's almost tribal hold on power in New South Wales. With a 17.7% margin, it would represent a tectonic shift in traditional voting patterns to see this seat lost from the party's grip. Because of the it's time factor and Labor's now admitted self-indulgences, Cogra is vulnerable. Like many other Labor candidates, Cherie Burton is downplaying the Labor brand in her literature. She was unavailable to meet Stateline when we visited the electorate this week.
We would be kidding ourselves if we said we were going to win government. We're not. Although Labor has made mistakes, and we are going to be punished for that at the polls, there's a lot of good things we've done.
The Liberal candidate is Cogra councillor Murray Hindi, a real estate sales executive and small business owner. She's of Lebanese ethnicity.
I was talking to an influence yesterday, and there, we definitely all want it.
Like much of Greater Sydney, Kogarah is a polyglot, 20% Chinese with significant Lebanese, Greek and Macedonian communities.
I've been door knocking every day, talking to people on a daily basis, on the train stations, door knocking, street stalls. I've door knocked about 4,000 homes and businesses in the area, and I'm getting overwhelming support from the residents of Kogarah. The message is clear. People have had enough of Labor and Cherie. They are telling me Cherie is absent. She never door knocked their homes. She's never there. She's not a local. And people are sick and tired. And people are willing to change. I am getting overwhelming support from the people.
John Sturton says the Greens vote is currently at 13% statewide. While many young people 18 to 24 are sticking with Labor at the moment, the polls show, at this stage at least, the massive swing is going directly from traditional Labor voters to the Liberals.
Why?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think Labor has disappointed on a whole range of policy areas. In our polling this week, 73% of voters say that Labor has done a poor job on health and hospitals, and almost two-thirds say they've done a poor job on public transport, a poor job on taxes and charges, a poor job on urban planning. On top of that, Labor have been in for 16 years, and there was a sense in 2007 that voters were ready to throw them out, but the opposition wasn't electable in voters' minds. And so I think the pressure has built, and it's exploding now with an opposition that they see as a viable alternative.
And we'll be seeing what sort of a viable alternative a Liberal Nationals coalition will make at the climax of the election campaign. After weeks of contentious discussion, the Labor leader Kristina Kenneally and the coalition leader Barry O'Farrell have now agreed to a 1-hour prime-time live televised debate to be broadcast on ABC 1 and ABC News 24 at 7:30pm Friday the 18th of March. I'll be in the chair. All cards and policies will then be on the table just 1 week out from polling day. That's Friday the 18th of March, 7:30, Kenneally versus O'Farrell. Don't miss it.